Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever for a 6v6 played on the map Lost Archipelago. And I am joined today by none other, the one and only, the scientist of FAF, the Duelist. How are you doing today?
Doing good. That's like the most hype intro I think I've ever had. It's good to be here.
I'm a fucking hype man now. You know this. As up to the northwest, we have Team 1. And in the southeast, we have Team 2. It's very vague because they're across the entire map and they're everywhere. But we're going to go ahead and get into player introductions. We're going to start east to west for Team 1 and then west to east for Team 2. And of course, with that laid out, we have ourselves a dark blue UEF going first land by the name of the G-Man 121. Then over to the west of him, we have a White Aeon Best faction going first land, and his name is White Wolf 147. Then we can move on to the Cyan Aeon Best faction and color. Man, he's firing on all cylinders. Cylinders. This isn't Dark Souls. And his name is Boxeroo. Then up to the north, we have a maroon UEF going first land. His name is Spectre Slave 137, and he is the furthest back position for his team. As we move on to the last player, the second to last player for Team 1, a red Cybran going first land by the name of General Kojin. Then the actual last player of Team 1, a dark green UEF going first land by the name of Christoph 1942, a year of World War II. And if he is that old, then he might have an award for oldest FAFer. As we move on to Team 2, and we start this time in the west with the yellow Cybran going first land by the name of Edgar Rur. Don't know what RR stands for, but Edgar. As we move on to the pink UEF, the man who this week is named after. And the man joined with me today, a pink UEF who has recently stopped playing Cybran, I notice. I see a lot of UEF in your match history, by the name of none other than the Duelist. As we move on to a purple Seraphim going first land by the name of Penguin. Very nice player. As we have a gray Cybran over here by the name of Blue, which is very confusing because he is in fact gray. And over here to the far east, we have a blue UEF going first land. His name, of course, Staples. And last but not least for the entire game, we have a green UEF going first air, and his name will, of course, be Rainbow Turtle. With that very lengthy introduction process opened up, I want to ask Duelist a couple of things. What are your opinions of this map? I like boat maps. I don't know how you feel about them, but what do you think about this map, and how do you think it should ideally play, even though you already know how this game plays out? Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, so I really enjoy playing Navy. I think that it's a really, really interesting dynamic to add because a lot of the maps that you play on are almost entirely land-based. So adding Navy into the mix adds a third dimension to the game. As far as how this map actually plays, you're in a little bit of a 2v1 situation where if you look at the red player on the eastern side of the map, that player is kind of 2v1, so to speak, against myself and Edgar Rar. And then we have my teammate, who is Staples, and he's going to be 2v1 by the G-Man, as well as White Wolf 147. That's right. So a little bit of a 2v1 situation here. The mainland players do have to kind of step up to help out in the Navy game. And then in the middle, you have kind of an interesting land battle with a kind of a mountainous terrain or pass in the middle. I really enjoyed playing this map, though, and I think that it's one that I'd like to see hosted more. Penguin, I think, hosted it as a new map, but I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good mass, a lot of good Navy. I love good mass and good Navy.
Yeah, and I think I'll host it a little bit more because very soon me and Thurnis are going to be hosting a whole bunch of Nomads games. You got us into the mood with your last. So pull back the curtain for everybody. I've recorded 2 casts already today with Thurnis. Don't know what order they're coming out in. The next one could be after this video or before it. We don't know. But he's played a lot of Nomads recently, the Duelist, and also you've swapped to UEF. Can you tell me why you've gone away? You've been astray from the Cybran for so long?
Okay, so I was actually going to talk about this. For team games, I actually find myself preferring either UEF or Seraphim. If you look through my history, you'll also see a lot of Seraphim games. For 1v1s, though,
I respect you too much.
Okay, all right, that's fine. For 1v1s, though, I'm very partial to the Cybran still because they fit a little bit more of my playstyle. Like, my playstyle in 1v1s is very aggressive and like trying to run around the enemy as much as I can and fight them where they're not instead of fighting them head on. Cybran's very good for that. But in team games, I find myself needing to fortify a lot more. So I go for UEF, and then I really like the Tech 2 for Seraphim. So that's kind of why that's kind of my reasoning behind that. But I do play Cybran occasionally in team games.
All right. Here on this middle island, this land island, which is a very awkward land island, and I honestly think one player here is making a great decision and one is making a horrible decision. We have gun damage and range from Christoph versus T2 from Rainbow Turtle. Rainbow Turtle's had some struggles with expansion. He is a low-rated player. He's probably just not super comfortable with moving out. Most low-rated players aren't. But he is going for T2, and I actually think that's the superior choice here. Because if he can get it in time and he can throw up just 3 to 4 PD, it completely shuts down almost all land on this island for the entire game, and then he can focus on Navy. Now, we'll have to see if that plays out that way, but that's just how I'm seeing this middle island go. With such constricting choke points, I feel PD is just incredibly powerful.
Yeah, well, I think you really see 2 competing philosophies from Christoph as well as from Rainbow Turtle. So Rainbow Turtle looking to play more the Navy and air game in his position, whereas Christoph is looking to get his opponent off of that island as quickly as possible. And I think I would favor Christoph's approach here, because if you're able to get Rainbow Turtle off of that island, that's mass that, you know, we on team number 2 are never going to be able to get back. Or have to fight really hard to get back.
Yeah. So we have differing viewpoints because I favor this strategy. I don't think it's being executed very well right now, admittedly, but that's okay. Execution is something different. But the way I'm looking at it is him focusing on Navy. If he does manage to get an early frigate out, he could very well come in here, and all of the frigates have the range to knock out all of this power, all of these mass extractors, and can undercut this attack if you're a little bit snappier with it and if you play it a little bit better. But he's not even going for the T2 that I was talking about. He is more so just focusing on developing his base with that T2 upgrade, in fact getting mass storage with it. So I think that this is going to go very, very poorly for Rainbow Turtle, but I do think that both arguments on this could be very valid. If you can manage to hold, then you'll be in a very good position with the Navy. It's a bit of a longer con, but if you're able to push the enemy off the island, then that's a very short-term play that's going to have long-term pain for the enemy.
And it's a marriage of kind of 2 play styles. Like, you want to play aggressive, but you also want to play for the late game. So too much aggression, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot later, and then too much late game, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot very, very early, as we kind of see Rainbow Turtle struggling with right now.
Yep, another common mistake, if you're ever in this position, which hopefully you won't be, don't build a T2 PD, build a T1. It's faster, it'll actually finish, as opposed to this one, which will die, or finish and then immediately die. And unfortunately for Rainbow Turtle, I think he just has to cede this territory, maybe run back to his allies and hope he can get up a mass fab farm at some point in this game.
Well, and for Tech 1 PD, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like 99.9% sure that Tech 1 PD outputs more damage than Tech 2.
Yes,
it just has like less range.
It has more DPS and less range than all of the T2 PD.
Okay. Yeah, so in this instance where you've got, you know, Tech 1 pushing in, and granted, you do have a gun comm, I haven't seen any overcharges come out of that gun comp, so I'm not sure if Christoph built any e-storage. I'm checking now, but yeah, Tech 1 PD absolutely fantastic option, I think, for holding that line.
Tech 1 PD is even good if your opponent misplays and walks his comm into it, because to outweigh the damage that the gun comm gets, it is literally one Tech 1 PD and a commander with no upgrades beats a commander with gun who just walks in and shoots your commander. That's how much DPS the T1 PD will give you. Look
at you, Mr. Scientist. You've already run these tests on your own. I didn't even know that.
I just cheese a lot of people. So I've used every upgrade in the Aeon arsenal to try and cheese, okay? I've figured these things out. My favorite one of my favorite plays that I've done with T2 is I rushed T2 while in the air slot and we were losing land really hard on a no share game. So I rushed a T2 transport from my air factory, got T2 on the comm, stopped spending anything else in my base, dropped myself right on top of one or two enemy gun comms, and just spammed T1 PD and killed them. It was funny, to me at least.
Oh, that sounds super sexy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but enough about that. Back to the game. Duelist doing an amazing job with naval production, but I do want to pick your brain on something. Why this many naval factories and why this early?
I had a lot of mass. That's really it. I'm stalling energy right now.
So,
I think I have some engineers producing a big line of Tech 1 PD as well, or not Tech 1 power generators.
Yeah, a year ago I would have done this, but now I wouldn't. I would build half as many of these and assist them instead, because you get out the same number of units, but they come out faster, if that makes sense. Like, you're spending the same amount of mass, but you're getting the same number of units, but they're actually off the line faster. I really prefer assisting Navy versus building.
That is a great idea for a science video.
Yeah, you should run it. I see high level
play. I'm gonna go test that.
I also don't think that there is a definitive answer. I think there are times for both. Like right now, I don't think that this is a miscall. I don't think this is a misplay. You're not being pressured. What I see the advantage of doing the assistance over the line is if you're being pressured, you need units out as quickly as possible, and the assistance gives you that.
No, that's very true, and that's going to be part of my testing parameters. Is assisting like 3 naval factories versus just letting a few run
passively.
Yeah,
that's I'm glad I gave you an idea. Or you could just keep running tests and find out what the optimal is, because there will eventually be an optimal. Maybe it's like 1 assisted factory is the same as 3 unassisted factories or something like that, and you can find like and it's going to change on the number of engineers you use. There's a lot of subtlety to it, but I think it could be a great science video. And over here to the west, we have our first air aggression coming out. It's Penguin with a strategic bomber. Going to be getting some great little airplay coming off here. I should not use free cam considering it messes up every time he drops a bomb. But ASF's out from Boxeroo, going to come in and quickly shut this down. Is the wreck gonna maybe kill off a sub? Almost! Oh, 25 HP. If that sub was surfaced, it 100% dies.
Yeah, but you're starting to see the 2v1 aspect here. So earlier on, Red was tangling with Yellow's Navy, and that gave me kind of an opportunity to go in, kill a naval factory, and then I can engage Red's Navy, and then that gives Yellow some breathing room. So playing for the 2v1, and you'll see a similar tactic, or you actually saw a similar tactic happening on the eastern side of the map as well with my teammate.
Yeah,
Staples was also in a similar position.
This is a better example of it because Staples wasn't quite able to find the play he needed to stay in the Navy. He got completely knocked out. He either didn't get into Navy fast enough, or he invested too much into other things, and that's what I'm guessing. He invested way too much into T2 air and T2 land, and now T3 land. T2 land could maybe be justified if you do Riptide spam to try and get yourself out of a naval lock. I don't like Riptides. I think they're a bad unit because they have low range, and that range is just too low. It's very bad.
Yeah, and to your point on me playing UEF here instead of Cybran, I probably could have pushed a little bit harder here if I was playing Cybran instead of UEF. So I think the UEF frigates, while they do have radar jamming, which is super valuable, they kind of fall apart a little bit in the damage per second as well as the fire rate department.
So, fun fact, I know it's not optimal play, and I get yelled at by higher rated people all the time, but I've been finding great success. You know I only play Aeon, so it's going to be Aeon related. I've been finding really good success with getting out an early T1 naval factory, assisting it, maybe two, just getting up a few frigates and submarines as a stopgap, but really going heavily into T2 land, because Asylum, Blaze, and Ascendant is an incredibly strong force and is really good at fighting frigates as long as you don't have to chase the enemy frigate force. And I think that Aeon gets shafted harder than all of the other factions in T1 Navy. The Beacon class costs the most and loses to almost all of the other frigates. It's really annoying.
Yeah, I was actually searching for replays to co-cast. I was actually looking at a lot of your replays because I wanted to get you back. And yeah, you do a really, really good job as I was looking at those with the floating mechanics of the Aeon.
Oh yeah, it's I call it a cheese, but it just isn't. It's just float good. Floating does good. And I also used to swear by blazes, but now I don't, because I love building obsidians on land only maps, because obsidians just, it's really nice whenever a comm walks forward and then 6 tanks legitimately threaten its death. Because 6 obsidians is a scary force to a commander.
I think that the Obsidian is one of the most underrated units in FAF.
It's the criticism of it is 100% true. It is arguably overpriced. It is very expensive. But the fact is, if you're given time and you build up a large force of them, they are incredibly scary. As up here to the north, we have our first little kind of naval engagement that isn't between the islands. We have the Duelist pushing in towards the naval production of Spectre Slave 137, and it looks as though he's just going to knock down the naval production and, in fact, the naval HQ of this maroon UEF here. There's a broadsword out trying to save face, trying to mitigate damage, but it's just not enough. And the damage dealt here is going to be felt for a little while. That T2 HQ, cost-wise, isn't anything big for Spectre Slave right now, but in time, it's huge, because right now, I can guarantee you we go back over here. Oh, look at that. That's a T2 Naval HQ. What does that mean? We're going to have a bunch of T2 units showing up on the field, and T2 just better than T1. That's just how every phase of the game works. T2 will generally win against T1. So,
man, thank God I had upgraded to Tech 2, because I know you didn't watch this replay before I sent it to you.
Yeah, no, I have blind faith that Duelist does things well. In fact, in the last cast, what I said about you could come off as an insult, but I see it as a compliment. I said that you're a very stable player. You don't do super creative things, but you just focus on the core mechanics and fundamentals and make sure that you're doing those as well as you possibly can. And that makes you a very stable player, makes you very, I wouldn't say predictable, but like you're very, I can know what to expect out of you.
Dependable is the word that you're looking for.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. And I think that's accurate, because like I didn't even have to look at your base to know that you got a T2 HQ.
And that's, you're actually the second person, or not the second person, you're actually like the 4th or 5th person, because I play a lot with Note. And I was asking him one time, I was like, why do you put up with me? Because I feel like I always just like suicide every time I play with Note. I do something stupid. And he was like, well, you know how to play your lane and you play it well, and I don't have to worry about you doing something really, really gosh darn stupid.
See, and I'm the opposite, and we are the exact same rating. I'm the, oh, he's gonna do something really stupid, but there's like a 60-40 chance that really stupid thing can win the game.
Yeah, I don't know, I shy away from the high risk, high reward plays, I guess, which is probably to my fault. I think I should take more risks in the game.
I just think that in the long term, your playstyle will result in better results than mine. 100%. I've had no qualms since we've met of saying that you're the better player, because I believe that. I do truly believe that, like, overall you're the better player. I just do things and I don't think about it, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not a cerebral player. I don't think about what I'm doing. You remember that scene from The Dark Knight? It's like, I'm a dog chasing cars.
Literally going to quote that to you.
I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I ever caught one.
I was literally going to quote that to you because, that's very true. But again, there is a happy medium between our two play styles where, I arguably play too safe and you play a little bit too risky.
Yeah, and that's where you get to, like, people like Thurnis, Icy, the Wreck, everybody who's like, they just do everything right and their risk management is on point. All right, so the game's progressed a little bit. I know we haven't talked about the game very much because that's just how I co-cast. It's more of a vehicle for conversation. But of course, we do need to talk about it. Let's talk about the state here. We have ourselves the kind of expected outcome just looking at the map at a glance. We have this island and this island player living in poverty sim and just wishing they had never pressed X on this lobby. And everybody else is having a pretty good time except for, in the middle, Rainbow Turtle. We were talking very early about this kind of land pressure to take over this island. And Kristoff has really delivered on it, and he's really punching above his weight here as he's getting into the Navy, and he's getting in a lot of T2 Navy. He's sitting on one of the stronger economies in the game and just doing very well for himself at the moment. I would love to see what he tries to transition this into. Looks like he might be able to siege this mainland, and if that happens, that could be no bueno. And Rainbow Turtle is just a very sad camper right now.
Yeah, so at this point, I really should have pushed Kristoff's forces off of Rainbow Turtle, because I do off of Rainbow Turtle's earlier base, because I'll let you talk about that real quick.
Yeah, Exodus, meet Commander, it's an expected result. We probably could have looked at that a little bit earlier, but you could. I zoomed out like this, you can tell what's happening. So I'm just gonna ignore the comments on that one about missing it. But to continue, you feel like in hindsight, you would have rather come down here and fought this Navy?
Yeah, so come down and fight that Navy a little bit sooner. I also should have pressured Rainbow Turtle's, well, now Kristoff's base, but like the southern side of that island. I was very laser focused in on actually trying to fight Kristoff's original base. And I think that was the wrong call, to be honest, as I'm looking at the game now and reviewing the replay.
Yeah, and I personally feel like you're doing well. You are getting damage done, and you've been consistently getting damage done. What I'm surprised by is the difference between the mainland players on each team. This team, they both just went for air, which can work. You can see the torpedo bombers really getting some work done here. But I just feel like I feel like one of these players should have invested in Navy and tried to help out Staples a little bit more, because Staples just kind of got left there and thrown to the wolves in a sense. And it's just really looking bad on this side of the map. Sure, this side of the map you get the kill too, but it took longer, and you still have some kind of naval presence coming out from both of the mainlanders, in fact, now. Both of them trying to step their toes in the water, and in the long term, I feel this play works out more, because you can build a massive air grid, but it's much harder to spend all of your huge ecos you've built on air than it is on Navy, and naval units just have a presence on the map, whereas air units are they are there, but they're there temporarily. They're something you exchange out, generally.
Yeah, and so in the northern pond, we kind of got forced into a position where we were fighting Navy with air, as our yellow player Edgar was still doing a really good job of pressuring with Navy, but it meant that I had to kind of shift over to try and help out with the Eastern Pond Navy. And that was a little bit, I think it was a little bit of a mistake. I also did a really bad job of communicating with Penguin, which is weird because he and I won a tournament together. So you'd think that we had our communication down, but I did a really bad job of it. Say what?
Are you all in VC? Because I don't see any chat.
No, we're not.
Oh.
I looked.
I don't see any chat from you in particular.
Yeah, I know.
Very silent.
I'm very bad at chatting. That's another big downfall of mine.
Oh,
but,
I thought you were just ignoring me every time we go into a game and I just like start saying stuff to you and you just never respond. No, you just don't look at it.
I'm really bad at it. Yeah. But the broadswords out of Spectre Slave have pushed my Navy back, I think 3 times now. And that was something where I needed to communicate a lot better with Penguin on having ASF in position for my naval pushes.
Yeah. Also, to your credit, I think you're playing the hardest Navy in the game to play properly.
How do you figure?
UEF is incredibly it's incredibly determinant, its effectiveness, on composition of units. The composition of your T2 Navy matters a lot. And if you don't have time to either A, build up the composition, or the composition loses one of its key points, like you lose all your shield boats or you lose all your Coopers, it gets very, very difficult to win fights against somebody on one of the other factions who just gets to spam destroyers and maybe cruisers if they need them. It feels like with UEF you need to use all of the tools at their disposal, where with the other factions you can kind of brain dead build one.
So then what do you think is the ideal build for UEF then, to put you on the spot?
I don't play them because I don't know it. That's my point. If you ask Thurnus, if you ask Fluffy, if you ask any of the big boat map players, they will tell you what it is. I don't know it. That's why I don't play them. I know I can tell you the perfect composition for hover spam on a Navy map. Very easily.
Yeah, so my 2 cents there, I mean, I guess if you're not going to volunteer, is I think I was going 2 destroyers, a Cooper, a shield boat, and then a governor. Is what I had coming out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cop out of the question either. I'm just saying, like, I don't like speaking from a position of complete ignorance. I just know that from everybody who I've talked to who is higher rated than me, they say that UEF has a very composition-based Navy. And I don't like that because I like building a bunch of Exodus and watching them go burr.
Oh, yeah. In hindsight, again, like, I probably should have played Cybern on this map because I could have just done Salem's and Mermaids, and then it would have been just chef's kiss. Mwah! Awesome.
Yeah, even mix in some Sirens because Sirens are always fun.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And we have this governor over here. He's going to be a very sad governor here soon because he's about to be elected out of office by the enemy Thunderheads. I don't know why that's the transition I went for.
They lobbied harder in the primaries, man, okay? Like...
Oh, man. So, I just want to point out, like, kind of like the silent hero for Team 1, though, is by far White Wolf. He has just been ever present with all of these naval units. Like, there's like 50, 60, 70 torpedo bombers at any given time constantly attacking his navy. It doesn't feel like he's running out of navy. There's always more coming down the line. Very good at production.
Yeah, he, as well as Kristoff, became a big issue in this game. And you're starting to see that. And you're also looking at the broadswords right now. Those broadswords, man.
Spectre Slave showing up with the T3 gunship meta.
There's not very many things that... It takes a lot to frighten a man like me. I can't remember the meme now.
Is it the heavy
Yeah.
I fear no man.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that
I fear no man, but that thing it scares me.
scares me. I love how we're both running on the same, like, you had the Dark Knight thing, and then you're like, there's not many things that scare me. I'm like, you're talking about the heavy from TF2.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We got that.
Which is funny
wavelength.
because I've played all of like 3 hours of TF2, but I get it.
I've played all of like 300 hours of TF2.
Oh damn! All right.
I loved that game for a long time. And yeah, these broadswords, they need to be answered, but the problem is the answer that you all had was deal with them a while ago. Now it felt like you all did have an air advantage, but now that both of these players are just full swing in air, you just don't necessarily have it anymore. And now we have restorers coming out. The counterpart to the broadsword, I feel like if you're going T3 gunships, the whaler isn't really in the discussion for which one's the best. The whaler just does its job. The broadsword is like, yes, this will annihilate anything on the ground, and then the restorer is like, well, you have some kind of independence with this one. You don't have to screen with ASF because, well, it has really good AA, but it's very slow at DPSing things down on the ground.
Yeah, so this was another misstep that I think I made. If you look at my base now, like I'm trying to make a transition to Tech 3 Air and getting a power grid and an air grid set up because I realized that like Penguin was just trying to be all over the map at the same time, and we needed another air player in the game. And I think that I made this transition a little bit too late, to be honest.
I don't have an issue with the transition. I have an issue with transitioning when you were already mass stalling from all these factories. You gotta shit or get off the pot. You gotta choose what you're doing, because I don't know. I think that's reclaim related, or maybe you just stopped building with all this. But you still have a bunch of T2 mexes, some of them uncapped. It's feeling like you're trying to commit to a whole lot without the economy for it. Yeah, you're going back down to 164 if you try and build something. I guess you're upgrading mexes, which is valid. But even then, I think pausing the frigates you're building are doing nothing. Broadswords are killing them.
Yeah. And so anyway, I've been pushed off of Navy. It was funny because I was talking with Scoob earlier today, and was talking about like his and my play styles, and I tend to under eco and spend too much time microing my units, and he tends to over eco and then not have any units on the field.
Oh,
his words, not mine.
Yeah, no,
but,
I'll stand by Scoob's words there. I've seen that one in action.
But you're starting to see the
also,
the consequences of my early eco.
9/24/2022. Not only is the last person who I co-hosted with, Thurnis Haley, in the Rainbow Cup 5th edition, so is the man with me today, and he is on team Caster stream? Caster team?
Yeah, it's Yavi, Andrani, and then myself.
Isn't it Javi? I don't think it's Yavi.
Javi? Okay.
Yeah.
I've messed that up a couple times. Sorry, Javi, if you're watching this.
I know him as Femboy, so.
Yeah, I had no idea. He messaged me on Discord actually today asking if I was playing in the tournament, and I was like, "Yeah, I am." Who's this? Because I didn't know he changed his name.
Yeah, it's quite funny. So yeah, I would if we were doing, actually, since it was a draft thing, there was no guarantee I would have been on the same team. I would have probably joined that tournament. I don't have anything going on that Saturday, but nevertheless, the gunships finally get cleaned up because of an overextension from Spectre Slave 137. And honestly, they get cleaned up for very little. They kill off a T3 air HQ that was not going to result in too much, in my opinion. Like, he was trying to build whalers to fight gunships, fight broadswords. Whalers lose mass for mass against broadswords because broadswords just have more DPS and HP. At least I would assume they lose. I can't imagine them winning that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't have any idea.
Probably do.
A science video on it. Which of the T3 gunships is best against the others?
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Well, I'm pretty sure the Restorer is going to win.
No, the Restorer loses against the Broadsword.
No way. Really?
The Broadsword's ground DPS gets transmitted to the air DPS.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
In the gunship, the Restorer, it only fires its AA missiles. I don't think it fires its little pew-pew gun that goes to the ground at the Broadswords.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Even if it does, it just doesn't have the DPS, and I also think the Broadsword might have more health than the Restorer. I mean, we can just check. 6,000 versus 6,000. It's still more DPS, I would be pretty sure of that. But I might be wrong, I don't know. I say things out of my ass all the time, it's great. That's why I have the scientists here both, to fact check me.
Yeah, well, you're fact checking me right now. So I was like,
so the true reason I said the true reason I say that the Broadsword wins is because I said that the Restorer wins on stream, and then somebody put a bunch of math on stream and said nope, the Broadsword wins. So that's what I'm assuming.
I gotcha. But as I've seen several times, the math doesn't always back up the actual real world. I can't speak. Real world results.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Go for it.
What was the conclusion of the? I'm just trying to remember because I don't want to say something wrong because I've only watched it once and it was when it came out. What was the conclusion of the T4 artillery video?
I haven't done a T4. It was Tech 3.
Or T3 artillery. Sorry.
Yeah. In my opinion, and based on the data that I saw, so I'm going to caveat it with that because there were some people that disagreed with me. I think that the disruptor was the best as far as like the overall goal for Tech 3 artillery, followed by the Duke in second, and then the Hubbatham. And I think the emissary's fire cycle is just a little bit too long.
Well, I think the emissary got a little bit screwed over whenever they did the T3 artillery change. The emissary used to be the best because it had the range that all 4 artilleries have now, and the other ones had shorter ranges. It was a longer range artillery installation. And whenever they made the change, they didn't buff it because it paid for that range with a slower firing cycle and the different damage profile.
Yeah, that'll do it.
See, you don't even have to. It's not even a thing of like. I meme about like the Aeon getting screwed over every time there's a balance patch. That time they did. They just had a better artillery, and then they made all of the other artillery better around it.
They do. I mean,
Not that it matters.
Go ahead.
Not that it matters. I'm gonna play Aeon till the day I die. I don't generally care about balance patches. They never really change how I play the game, except for the one where they did the Aurora health change, which made me sad.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm going through these science videos and everything, it does seem like the Aeon gets screwed over quite often, with the exception of, I think, that was a bomber kill.
Oh, hey, okay. Why did it sound like a nuke? Or maybe an SU died.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So the game is collapsing around you. We haven't talked about the game in a bit. Yeah, lot boat kind of wins. One side had more boats and more air, and that's the only thing that mattered on this map. Team 2 put out a stellar early game. They played very well in the early game, except for the middle island. But I feel the middle island was kind of a tipping point. Whenever you lose that so early and you don't have a direct response to it, it feels too difficult. But yeah, no, I was just curious because I was like, I also felt like the emissary was pretty weak. And I had another question. I had another question about one of your science videos, but I can't remember it. Fuck. Quick, name off all the science videos you've done.
Oh my god. Tech 2 and Tech 3 artillery. I think I've done all the Tech 3 main battle units. I've done SACUs, anti-air. I don't know.
Have the Aeon definitively won any of them? I think T3 main battle unit, you said the Aeon is amazing. Harbinger is pretty good.
Yeah, I actually talked about the Harbinger in the cast that I did today that went up as well. The Harbinger is probably my favorite Tech 3 main battle unit.
Yeah.
Because it has reclaim, which is really good for somebody like me that forgets to build forward factories and Tech 1 engineers. And it also has, I mean, it punches like pretty hard. Like it punches with the Otham. So I really like the Harbinger a lot.
So you mentioned that you micro too much, your units too much. I think that anybody who is really like micro focused should play some Aeon for like a little bit of time, because one thing I noticed that like players who never play Aeon do a lot is you just died to gunships, is they avoid attack move. And Aeon at every tier except for Tech 2 encourages attack move. And attack move can be very, very useful in so many situations.
That is actually true. You're not the first person to tell me that, because the times that I have done an Aeon ladder match, I've been just my APM gets so taxed because I feel like I'm trying to run away while shooting.
Attack move saves you APM if you're using it properly. Because the way it works is if they aren't spamming artillery, attack move makes your units more effective, and you can look away from them for a few seconds and do something else, come back to them, and then tell them to run away because they'll be at max range. And if the enemy starts pushing you, then you have to run away. And that's the normal trading pattern. But with the another one is the Harbinger is really good with attack move because it'll win a fight and then it will reclaim it immediately. And if a unit shows up while it's reclaiming, it stops reclaiming and starts shooting again.
Yeah.
But another thing, what I'm pointing out is like with UEF land, attack move is great on UEF land. Specifically the Percival, where the Percival doesn't get any value out of being closer to the target. It doesn't. Playing a Percival at max range is as best you're going to play the Percival.
That's very true. I don't use attack move very often outside of engineers. It's probably something I need to do more of.
Yeah, just try it some more. Like, especially with later game armies, attack move works well on almost all the factions in late game armies. The only exception is if you need to jump on top of something, don't use it, of course. But if you're just taking an engagement, attack move will group up your units a little bit more, which might be an issue for AoE. But that's predictable. Like, if they have AoE, don't attack move. If they do, then, or if they don't have it, then attack move can be really strong because it groups your units up and it allows your units to fire all at once or all together instead of having, like, some of your units are in the middle of their force and then other units can't even attack the enemy force yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, very good. I'll probably try it. I told you that I was going to try and stream after this, so I'll probably go try and do some ladder matches as Aeon and use attack move. Yeah, you're down. I'm down. All right. You're down. Everybody's down.
All right. Thank you
Except
all for
me,
watching.
I'm standing.
Sorry if you don't like co-casts. This week is going to be a lot of co-casts, but I think we had fun. We had some interesting discussions, closer to a podcast than a FAF cast, but whatever. And you all are beautiful. Thank you to the patrons and channel members who support me so much, and I really appreciate the support. Make sure to go over and check out the Duelist channel, which will be in the comments or in the description. And I'm sure he'll be in the comments responding to some of the crap we said. The comments section, we both usually when we do a collaboration, we check the other videos' comments and be like, oh well, stuff. Let's talk about it.
Who doesn't like co-casts?
I've had so many people who say, you don't pay attention to the game, you miss so much whenever I do co-casts. People hate my co-casts. I don't know, I seem to be a lightning rod for people really being angry. I guess I'm just inflammatory as a person.
Oh, I can speak to that. Yeah, he is.
I just like poking the, I like poking the bear sometimes. It's fun.
Oh, now you're calling me fat. Okay.
No.
No, you just called me.
No, I called you a bear. That's a big gay man in leather.
Okay. That's probably a good spot to end this.
All right, thank you all for watching. We're gonna speed up while this guy eventually succumbs to his brutal death. I think he's going for teleporter and laser, or he's just repairing. He's just repairing. Where's the broadswords? Yep, just bring the broadswords. Anything else? Anything you want to say to the people? Anything?
Nothing other than honestly, if y'all are not subscribed to Willow, please do. He works very hard at making sure that these videos are up to snuff, and making sure that he's delivering really good content for y'all. And speaking with him, he definitely works harder than I do, which is a little bit of shooting myself in the foot, but that's okay because
I will say that I don't do any scripted content, which is fine. Your scripted content is like straight fire, dude. I love your science videos. I've watched most, if not all of them. Maybe I missed one or two, busy people and all that, but like your science, you got to give yourself some credit for the science videos, because that is like a lot of work. Sitting down and casting, like the actual casting portion of it, not a ton of work. It's just a lot of, or not a difficult work, just a ton of it.
Well, I appreciate that, but from my perspective, you work way harder than I do. So if y'all are not subscribed to Willow, please do. And if you're not subscribed to me, like I do casts like this, I also do the science videos that we kind of talked about. Oh, do we?
He got teleporter.
Oh, damn. All right.
GG. And yeah, subscribe to both of us. You all are beautiful. And I'll let Duelist close this out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And we will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Love and bridges.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay